Okay, 6:30 க்கு மேல ஆயிடுது. We'll start.
Yes, uncle.
हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै. ओम शांति शांति शांति. हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः. हरि ओम. समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्. Yesterday I got a message early morning, 3:45, because I go to bed at 2 o'clock and then 3:45, 4 I go to bathroom. I saw the message. The message was, all is well, all was well, all will be well. But they did not have experience. This almost sounds like Purnamadaha, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadaya, Purnameva Vasishyati. Right? So therefore, she is not wrong. Actually, I was so impressed. Next 1.5 hours I couldn't sleep, because I thought, what a beautiful message. All is well, all was well, all will be well. But that's not an experience, especially me, specialist in confusing and worrying. Right? And then I thought about it. You know, one of the most worrying things is death. A Sufi saint said, I died as a stone, I became a plant, I became a plant, I died as a plant, I became an animal, I died as an animal, I became a human being. When did I become poor by dying? When did I become poor by dying? Therefore, it's a perception. What you see. So the whole world that we see is a perception. Even pain, we resist pain. We think pain is bad. What about the labor pains of the mother? You are keeping sweets ready when she is suffering. You are keeping sweets ready when she is suffering. So is pain all bad? Supposing you get hurt somewhere, there is no pain, you won't know, the leg will fall off. If there is pain, you know I am hurt, and go to your doctor. So you need everything. Therefore, the kindly, loving Lord, with all his wisdom, provides us what we need. Our problem is, we make choices, and therefore we suffer. It's not the world created by God that gives us suffering. It is the world that we created. There are two creations. The creation of God, Ishvara Srishti, the creation of us, Jiva Srishti. Pain he has created. That pain is bad, is our creation. And we suffer because of our creation, not because of God's creation. In the whole world of perceptions, all the time the perceived world is supported by the unperceived actual reality. How do you see beauty without a flower? Beauty cannot be seen without a flower. You need a flower to see the beauty, but the flower withers away. Beauty doesn't. You need a sound to convey melody. Sound dies, melody doesn't. You need food to taste. Food ends, taste doesn't. That doesn't end in the form of beauty, melody, taste is all God. Vasoham apsu kaunteya, prabhasmi shishuryayoh. This is all God. So to experience God, because He is abstract, you need things to convey to see Him. How do you see even water without a container? How do you see space without a container? How do you see air without a container? You need to see these things. Therefore, the Lord created even to experience the life, existence, a body. He created for you to feel the consciousness, the knowledge, a thought. He created objects to experience Ananda. Through these finite things, you transact for the purpose of knowing the abstract and ultimately discovering you are that abstract and enjoy the immortal, immutable, unconditioned state of existence, bliss and knowledge, Satchidananda. This is the purpose. Banana has a skin on the top. You don't peel off the skin and eat, it will be sour. You have to peel off the skin and eat the banana. Coconut, you have to break the shell. There are certain nuts whom you can't break, that's different. But generally, these nuts, shell has to be broken. Badam, coconut, and enjoy them. So also, the containers God has given you, use them, discover what is the contents, identify with the contents, use the container, experience the immortality, bliss, knowledge, and play around the world. That's the scheme of life. When you see the contents, you see what that person has said, all is well, all was well, all will be well. When you do not see the content, carried away with the container, all are in the well. So therefore, the problem is not in the created world. The problem is what you see. Bhagavan Ramana also said beautifully, if you see the world apart from God, it is not real. If you see the world as part of God, it is real. And therefore, you have to see the whole world beautiful, because what it contains, what it conveys, what it holds is Satyam, Shantam, Shivam, Sundaram. You are carried away by the containers. And therefore, the container has to change. Imagine the body doesn't grow. You can't use. Imagine the mind also doesn't grow. Intellect doesn't grow. They have to change. In the transactional world, where there is duality, things have to change. You should know how to use them. They are meant to serve you. But today you have identified with them, lost your own identity, and became a slave of servant of your servants. Therefore, you and I suffer. Scriptures point out this to us. As Sri Gurudev says, You are not a soul. You are not a body with a soul. You are a soul with a body. You are a soul with a body. The body is meant to serve you. You are not the body, and there is something else other than you as a soul in that. This teaching of the changeless in the changing, the eternal in the ephemeral, the bliss in the sorrowful world is the contents of the compassionate Sruti Mata called Upanishads. Since these Upanishads are abstract, the loving Guru Parampara, the Rishi Parampara, made them into Puranas. Again, they were also not too straight, so they made Itihasas, Ramayana, Mahabharatas. But the subject matter is the same. All of them talk about Ishvara, Jiva, Jagat, bondage, freedom, sadhana. These are the 6 aspects all the scriptures talk.
Uncle, sorry, while you are changing, if you can keep your... Am I audible, Uncle? Okay.
So, we need to get some information. Firstly, to know our own ID, to get the right knowledge about ourselves and the world which we transact, establish a right relationship to evolve from these conditionings. This information is called Sruti, heard, Sravana. That's just information. It has to be understood. Manana. After that, it has to be experienced. Nididhyasana. Sravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. The sciences that talk about the changing phenomena, the external world of names and forms, the experienced world, the seen world, your own body, mind, intellect, are called the materialist sciences. In the material sciences, we are taught how to improve our external world so that you get a better comfort and security out of them. This is called Abhyudaya Phala, progressive. There it has to be like that. But the material world, the body, mind, and intellect are created for somebody else. They are not created for themselves. It is that master that you are. That master of the world, that master of the body, that master of the mind, that master of the intellect is you. We know everything about everything outside. See here, I am suffering even not knowing how to operate Zoom. I am in exam. So that science that talks about the Swami, the Lord, for whom this assemblage is meant. A house, the assemblage is meant for somebody to live in. The body, the assemblage is meant for somebody to live in. That science, that talks about the subject, the seer, you, is called Adhyatmika Vidya. That is Bhautika Vidya. This is called Adhyatmika Vidya. The texts that teach us Adhyatmika Vidya are Upanishads. Same things are conveyed in the form of Puranas. Again, Itihasas. Now, in the Upanishads, in the Puranas, in the Itihasas, there are not some terms explained like Guna, like Maya, like Panchabhutas, Tanmatras, Jnanendriyas, Karmendriyas. They are not explained. So you need some text to explain them. They are called books of categories or Prakarana Granthas. These Prakarana Granthas are many. In our recent turn, Sri Shankara's Vivek Chudamani, Tattvabodh, Atmabodh, etc., etc., etc. Sri Vidyaranya Swami's Panchadashi, Vedanta Sara. These are all the texts, books of categories, Prakarana Granthas. Again, the modern man is not very familiar with the style of those books. So Sri Gurudev, out of his compassion, brought the same things in the form of a book called Kindle Life. It's a Prakarana Grantha. It takes us from the known to the unknown. It takes us from the basics to the infinite. It not only talks about the small things that you think you know, freedom, discipline, etc. We will see how much we know, how much we do not know when we go into the text. It starts from there, but leads us to the Mahavakyas, Tattvamasi. That's the analysis of our personality. That which has the 5 koshas. Don't worry about the technical terms, I will explain later. The 3 bodies, gross, subtle, causal, all these are also talked about, and the Mahavakyas are also talked about. And the method to detach from the conditionings and to identify with that which you are, all talked about in this simple preliminary book called Kindle Life. When I first met Sri Gurudev, my God, in 1962, the first book I came across was Kindle Life. 52 days I was in trance. I was moving in the world, but yet far away from that with this simple book. It takes you to meditation if you are available. So therefore, it is this book that we are going to read. But then why this introduction? The introduction is necessary for us to understand the place of this book in the scheme of evolution. What exactly you are going to gain through this? Why is this book? Therefore, we have to know that we need spiritual sciences. Why? Because we are mixed up to analyze the impermanent and the permanent, detach the permanent from the impermanent, experience the immortal, blissful, conscious existence that you are. You need the scriptures. The same scriptures are given in various forms. Finally, the Prakarana Granthas, and one of them is this. You may now wonder that you've been promised of meditation. You are not being given meditation. Sorry, whatever we have been discussing up to now is meditation. Because what is meditation? to detach from the false and to attach to the real. That is meditation. To detach from the false, to attach to the real. Therefore, first you have to know that you are a combination of the false and the real. You have been told. You have been told now that you have to detach from the false and attach to the real. What is the false? That which changes continuously, that which is supposed to serve you. What is real? That which does not change, that which is the master, the eternal, blissful, conscious existence. So you now have to withdraw from that is changing. Your body is continuously changing. When you were born 3 kg. And now 80 kg. What is this 3 to 80? Food misappropriated from others. Therefore, your body is an accumulation of food. Your mind, accumulation of thoughts. It's not one day affair. It's never constant. Morning it was peaceful, afternoon agitated, 6:30 agitation confirmed, and 7 o'clock now confusion confounded. That is mind. At 7:30 bliss, because the class closes. So therefore, the body is changing, the mind is changing, the intellect is changing. But I remember the changes of the body. If I had changed along with the changes of the body, memory is not possible. If the child that was born with 3 kg body is different from the person with the 80 kg body is different, memory is not possible. There was someone in the 3 kg and the 80 kg constantly experiencing the changes, himself not changing, the witness. That is you. Dead body's hand doesn't move. My hand is moving. Hand is moving because of the life, the consciousness. That is you. Dead body can't hear. You are hearing. That which makes the ears hear. I see. Hand shake. That is the consciousness. That is the life that you are. You are not the body. You have a body. You see the body. What you see, what you have, you are not. You are not the mind. You see the mind. You have the mind. You are not the mind. You are not the intellect. You see the intellect. You have the intellect. You are not the intellect. What are you? Without them, I can exist. Like in sleep. I am not conscious of the body, mind, intellect. I exist. Without me, they have no place. That is me. Without them, I am there. Without me, they are not there. This method of analysis is called Anvaya Vitireka. When something is there, I am there. When something is not there also, I am there. And when I am not conscious of the body, mind and intellect, I still know, after getting up, I say, I slept well. I enjoyed. I was happy. You say that. Therefore, you experience that. And in that state, when you are detached from the body, the mind, the intellect, the condition was existence, consciousness, and happiness. To bring that state of happiness, which you experienced in sleep, into the waking is called meditation. How does that happen? Detached from all that is changing. Say, this is not me. Attached to that which doesn't change. This is me. This is meditation. The other meditations we talk about, asana, yamana, yama, pranayama, etc., they are all preparations to this meditation. They are all preparations to this meditation. Sadhanas themselves are preparations to this meditation. One who can see clearly through the words of the Guru that you are that consciousness which makes the hand move, I see, ears hear, and he follows the words of the teachers and recognizes this is me, teaching is ended in 1 second. One who cannot understand needs further grooving up, tuning up the personality. To him is the sadhana. Through the karma yoga, through the bhakti yoga, through the gnana yoga, you tune the personality to focus to that spirit and to experience that beautiful Satyam, Shantam, Shivam, Sundaram, Aham, Brahma. So therefore, in meditation, you try to practice this detachment. You can feel your body. You know that you are not the body because body is made up of 5 inert elements, continuously changing. Science says every 6 months or 1 year, every cell in your body changes, but you are not changed. Mind, continuously changing. Intellect, continuously. You, the witness of them who have been in that experience yet not changed. That is the real you. This is meditation. You close your eye, you can feel it. There the teaching is ended. After that, nothing to do. You know you what you are. There's nothing to do. After that, because of the past vasanas, impressions, subconscious mind, the footprints of the past bring you different thoughts, again make you believe you are the body, mind, intellect. Nothing to do. It brings thoughts of the body, mind, intellect. You say, I am not the body, I am not the mind, I am not the intellect. The nature of the body is to grow, decay, disease, go through pain. Yes, I witness. The nature of the mind is to change moods. I witness. I don't want to change them because nothing to do with me. Body, mind, intellect, they are full of imperfections and defects. Let them be there. I am not that. But yet, without a proper focus, culture, this experience is not possible. Therefore, this science that teaches you the basics of trying to culture these equipments, the body, the mind, the intellect, and try to focus, harmonize them, give them a scheme, make them recognize, is called sadhana. How do you focus? A hungry man cannot even listen to Vedanta. So, body has to be satisfied. Emotionally upset man cannot. So, the mind has to be satisfied. An intellectually dull man cannot. It has to be sharpened. Therefore, the body has to be taken care, the mind has to be taken care, the intellect has to be taken care, and this is called sadhana. But a man who can understand what I am telling, closes his eyes and feels this consciousness, for him, he doesn't need all this. Only thing is, he has to say, when the body disturbs, mind disturbs, intellect worries, you have to say, this is not me, this is me. Oh, then I can live as I like. No, sir, you cannot. Because a man with a bad character is obsessed with the world outside. He cannot detach. A man, a sensuous man, a man with desires cannot detach. Therefore, you have to follow certain rules. Those rules are called Dharma Shastras. You have to follow disciplines. There is no freedom without discipline. But the freedom that spiritual sciences talks are above the freedom of the body, mind, and intellect. That freedom has nothing to do with this freedom of the relative world. In the relative world, discipline is a must to enjoy the freedom. In the absolute world, to transcend the body, mind, and intellect, you are ever free in spite of the imperfections of the body, mind, and intellect. When you transcend the body, mind, and intellect, you have no reason to behave erratically, so that therefore you don't need disciplines also at the level of the body, mind, and intellect, because you do not behave erratically. Till you reach that state of perfection, where you will never be imperfect, even in the relative world, you have to follow Dharma Shastras, the guidelines of the scriptures, the pointers of the scriptures. You have to follow disciplines at the level of the body, the level of the mind, the level of the intellect. So therefore, Sri Gurudev starts with those topics, because that tuning is needed. You may say, I don't need, I've been a Vedanta student for long, I have studied so much, why do I need this preliminary text? Even we need, sir, the tuning itself is different at different stages. The tuning itself, a car engine is tuned, an aeroplane engine is tuned, rocket is tuned, Sputnik is tuned. So at different stages, different tunings are necessary. Therefore, even if you are a Vedantic scholar, you still need certain tunings, fine tuning, and therefore you need these instructions. So Sri Gurudev starts with the topic freedom and license. What is freedom? What is license? Why at all freedom? Array, this is what you have been hunting after. Now, why are you asking me what is freedom? The most criminal, highest criminal, who is not afraid of anybody, is willing to kill anybody with arms. He is afraid of khaki dress. Why? Because he is worried he will lose his freedom. All of us want to be free. No, none of us want to be told, don't do this, don't do that. Why is that? Because that's your real nature. Gurudev says in the first article, in the second page, essential nature of man being absolute freedom, he desists any shackles being put on him. That's our essential nature, freedom. That is why we struggle and finally want the ultimate freedom, which is called moksha. Moksha is not a post-mortem state. Moksha is freeing yourself from all the bondages that you have created through your mind. You have created concepts. You have created likes and dislikes. And therefore you are caught in this web. To release yourself from this body, mind, intellect, and your concepts and thoughts and prejudices is called moksha. That ultimate moksha you want, you have to be the master of the body, mind, intellect, not allow them to behave as they want. Freedom of the body, mind, intellect is not your freedom. Your freedom is to make them behave as you want. The car cannot go as it likes. The driver can take it wherever he wants. What happens if the car starts going wherever it likes? You will land up in the ditch. The driver has to handle the car. You, the driver, the master, has to handle your body, mind, and intellect. They can't have the freedom. So, understand, freedom is all the time punctuated by discipline. Without discipline, there is no freedom in the relative world. Ultimately, what happens? You reach an absolute state where you don't want anything from this world, and therefore you cannot be erratic. You have no desires of the world. You are enjoying absolute peace, total security, total bliss. And therefore you will never be erratic. You will never go against dharma. As long as you are in the relative field, There is a possibility of your being erratic, and therefore you have to be disciplined. My car, I pay taxes. My road, I will go as I like. If you go, it's okay, but you will never reach. In between, everybody else thinks they should also go as they like, and all of us land up in hospital, minimum. Therefore, in the relative world, you have to follow certain disciplines to enjoy the freedom. Gurudev gives a beautiful example. When you feel like smoking a cigarette, it's not your freedom to smoke the cigarette. It is the freedom of the cigarette. When you can say no to the instinct I want to smoke, that is your freedom. Freedom over your body, freedom over your mind, freedom over your intellect, freedom over the situations. That is the real freedom. That is the freedom which is the ultimate when you transcend the body, mind, and intellect. And therefore, the first topic itself is freedom and license. To think I should be free and do what I want is licentiousness. That is not freedom. That will destroy you. Licentiousness will destroy you. Drink as you want, as much as you want. You cannot avoid cirrhosis of the liver. Smoke as much as you want. You cannot avoid lung cancer. And therefore, unless you tame them, discipline them, and make them move in a particular way, you will not get the desired results. And to this discipline, which gives you freedom, is called the path of the pleasant, Shreyas, the path of the good, Shreyas. That which destroys you is called the path of the pleasant. The path of Shreyas ultimately gives you both good and pleasant. The path of the pleasant ultimately takes away both the good and the pleasant, Shreyas and praise. The sense enjoyments, what you think will give you happiness, and you try to estimate your freedom over the capacity to enjoy them. These sense enjoyments really take away your joy, take away your freedom, take away your happiness, take away your mastery. With the thought of enjoying, I am anxiously looking for the experience of the object. When I get it, I am agitated, I will lose it. When lost, I am with regrets. Then I want to repeat. In gaining, there is agitation. In enjoying, there is agitation. In lose, there is agitation. Wanting to repeat, there is agitation. When were you happy with desires? What is the other way to be happy without desire? Array, the happiness that you are wanting is in yourself. When you are agitated for coffee, you get the coffee, the agitation subsides. At that time, the mind is with the consciousness. You enjoy, you get the joy from the consciousness. You think you got the joy from the coffee. If coffee gives happiness, it should give happiness to all at all times. No, it doesn't give to all, and to even the person who likes, not at all times. But the self always is blissful. When the agitation, I want coffee, subsides, what you experience is not the joy of the coffee, is the joy of the self. This is why Panchadashi says, Brahmananda, Vishayananda are all the same. The external world, like even the natural beauty, creates in you an environment where the mind can tune to the self and experience the beauty of the self. That is the happiness the external world creates. Music, scenery, all these things. You think Oh, nature is so beautiful. Nature makes me go to meditation. Yes, it creates an ambience, but the joy is not from the self. Music creates an ambience. It subsides all agitation and makes the mind rest in the self. Therefore, the real bliss is in the self. The real happiness is in the self. Not knowing, you run after things and you think that is your freedom to enjoy as much as you want. When you want that, you don't enjoy them, they enjoy you. So this is the science of freedom and license. Licentiousness is disastrous. Freedom is coupled with discipline. Traffic lights you don't obey, you will land up in the hospitals. So if you want meaningful freedom in the relative life, you have to follow certain disciplines, restraints. Sri Gurudev says, little does he realize that freedom is essentially built on intelligent self-restraint and discipline. The inability to distinguish between freedom and license is at the root of the modern man's aversion to religion. He thinks religion takes off all the freedom to enjoy. No, religion gives the clue how to enjoy better, how to have the lasting enjoyment. It gives the clues. Man is given the liberty either to eke out the maximum happiness for him by following his instructions or to destroy himself. Thus, the scriptural books provide an exhaustive science of better living. And that this implies the knowledge of the outside world and you and the right relationship, the art of right contact. Electricity blesses us. Electricity blesses us. Blesses us with light, blesses us with TV, heater, mobile, Zoom. Oh, my dear electricity, you how much you serve me. Try to hug. You will never be there to experience. Therefore, the world that is beautiful, you need to establish a right contact. That is the second chapter. How to keep the right contact with the external world so that you get the desired results. Gurudev says the problems of the external world, he says, when one knows the art of applying the tool to the grindstone, it is the roughness of the stone that alone sharpens the tool. So too in life, when we understand the art of establishing right contact with the world, we chasten and edify our subjective personality. The evils of the world, therefore, are not great problems and impediments, but man's lack of dexterity in facing the challenges confronting him is the real problem. And therefore, you want freedom, discipline. You want freedom, happiness, right contact. Right? And Sri Gurudev himself says about this book, last page. If you demand but a life of money and power, of sense pleasures and fleeting joys, seek not God and the health. Sweat, toil, strive and achieve. These things you can gain by your effort. You don't need God. But if you demand a life of peace and love, of self-control and pure bliss, seek Him and His grace through study, prayer and meditation. Kindle Life can help you to learn, live, share from this assumed life of sensuous pleasures, ultimately getting nothing but misery. to discover a beauty, to tap that and to kindle that light from you is kindled light. Right? More of it. I have 10 minutes more. We will request Lalita to sing Nirvana Astakam to see how this meditation is done. Lalita, please sing.
Yes, Uncle. Hari Om. I'll sing. मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचित्तानि नाहम् न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च
Lalita.
भूमिर्. I'm singing, Uncle. Uncle,
Okay.
can you hear? I'm singing, Uncle. Can you hear me?
I'm not able to hear.
It is audible for someone.
Yeah. Uncle, you just wear your headphones if you have.
Yeah, next
Yes,
class,
not
now I'm
unmuted.
able to hear. Now I'm able
No,
to hear. Next class I'll take the
okay.
headphones.
No problem, Uncle.
Yeah, now you sing.
Yeah. मनोबुद्ध्यहङ्कारचित्तानि नाहम् न च श्रोत्रजिह्वे न च घ्राणनेत्रे न च व्योमभूमि न तेजो न वायुः चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं.
Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. I'm not the mind that agitates. I'm not the intellect that changes its brightness and dullness. Ahankara, the ego, the cause of all sorrows, I'm not. I have them, but I am not them. Mind is agitated? Yes, mind is agitated. What is my problem? Oh, ego is playing, I have no problem. Mano, buddhi, ahankara, chitta, memory. My memory is bad. Lalita's memory is good. She can sing. I cannot sing one verse properly. So what? I don't need. Chittani naham. Nacha srotra jihve. I can't hear. That's why I had a problem now. So what? Jihve. I lost sense of taste. Grana. I can't smell. Netre, I can't see. All are true at my age, 80. Okay. So what? Best. I can see my Krishna inside beautifully. I can talk to him all the time. I listen to his proof. What do I need? Mano buddhi ahankara chittani naham. Nacha srotra jihve, nacha grana netri, nacha vyoma bhumihi, natejo navayu. I am not none of these five elements with which your body is made. Therefore, I am not the body too. Yes, ma. Next stanza.
Yes, Uncle. न च प्राणसंज्ञो न वेपञ्च वायु न वा सप्तधातुर्न वा पञ्चकोशाः न वाक्पाणिपादं च न चोपस्थपायु चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं चिदानन्दरूपः शिवोऽहं शिवोऽहं.
Please, I just missed something. Nacha prana. Then? No. You can tell me words. Don't have to see.
न वा सप्तधातुर् न वा पञ्चकोशाः.
Right. Right. I am not the pranas, I have heavy breathing. I'm not able to breathe. You are not that prana, sir. Physiological functions dull. No, sir. Sapta dhatu, the 7 elements in you, the blood, the marrow, and all that. I am not that. Nacha grana netri.
Panchakosha.
Panchakoshas, the 5 koshas, the Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya, Panchakoshas. The gross body is called Annamaya Kosha. The mind is called Manomaya Kosha. Intellect is called Vijnanamaya Kosha. The tendencies, the footprints that makes you behave as you are, the vasanas, are called Anandamaya Kosha. All the problems belong to them. They 5 koshas are also called gross body, subtle body, causal body. I am not the 5 koshas. I am not the 3 bodies. All problems belong to them. What is my problem? I have no problem, especially a bachelor. Yeah, tell me, ma'am.
Vakpani Padam Chopasta Padam.
The karmendriyas, Vak, Pani, Padam. I am none of them. So I am not able to walk. My leg is paining, right? My tongue is faltering. I can't pronounce properly. Nothing, don't worry. All that is beautiful. Because the more you are incapacitated with the external world, the more you have the company of Krishna. Enjoy that company. Right? Beautiful. This is meditation. We will see next class the rest of the chapters of the Kindle Light. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyati Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyati. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Somehow managed this Zoom class where I went. Narayana. Somehow managed it. Let us see. Probably every class I may improve.
Hemuji sir, so nice to see you after so many months.
Lakshmi
happy
sir,
to see
how
you,
are
sir.
you?
So happy to see you, Hemuji sir.
Asama. Anandi.
So happy
Hariom
to
Hemuji.
see you, sir.
Lakshmi, I saw. Narayana.
Hariom sir.
Gayatri, I saw. Sandhya, I saw. All my own people I saw. What about the new people? 40 people gave names. All the people I know I saw. That's what I mean by my own.
Kala is there.
Everybody is my own.
Vandana is there.
Okay, next week we'll shall meet. Right?
Yes, uncle.
You.
Thank you, sir.
Shall I?
Thank you, thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Everyone see them.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
See you next Sunday.
Hariom Uncle.
Hari
Thank you,
Om.
Uncle.